The school board meeting will begin in 1 minute. Please take your seats. Again, the school board meeting will begin in 1 minute.
The May 10th, 2022 meeting of the Marion County School Board is called to order. Ms. Campbell, would you give us our opening?
We are the Marion County School District Leadership Team. When we come together to work, we are efficient, effective, and productive. Our three most important characteristics are dedicated, transparent, and individually responsible. To work well together, we must demonstrate respect, confront reality, and be accountable. We will always put students first. We will leave a legacy of success.
Thank you. For the courtesy of those listening to the meeting, I'm requesting everyone in the audience to please remove their hats, turn off their electronic devices, or put them on vibrate. Later in the meeting, up to 30 minutes will be provided for individuals to address the board on matters concerning the operation of the Marion County school system or the school board only. Presentations to the board are limited to 5 minutes and are televised. If you wish to address the board regarding a regular agenda item or matters on which the board customarily takes action, you must first complete a peach form located in the lobby. If you wish to address the board regarding a public hearing or a student discipline matter, please complete a lime green form. These forms must be fully completed and received by the board clerk no later than 5:40 p.m. Procedures applicable for each are on a separate sheet. Board clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Allison Campbell, District 1.
Here.
Mr. Don Browning, District 2.
Here.
Mr. Eric Cummings, District 3.
Here.
Mrs. Nancy Thrower, District 4.
Here.
Mrs. Kelly King, District 5.
Here.
Dr. Diane Gullett, Superintendent.
Here.
Mr. Jeremy Powers, School Board Attorney.
Here.
Thank you. Dr. Gullett, please introduce the individuals who will be providing the inspiration and leading us in the pledge tonight.
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. Great to see you all. Thank you, sir. I have the great privilege of introducing some of our phenomenal senior class presidents. I would like for them to stand if they would while I call their name. We first have Ava Kleinenmeyer, who is from Denellen High School, Reagan Jones from Forest High School, Anjali Morali from Westport High School, and Bella Shine from North Marion High School. We wanted to applaud these great leaders for the class of 2022, and we will hear from them to lead us in some inspiration and a pledge today.
Good evening, Board Chair Reverend Cummings, Vice Chair Ms. Campbell, school board members, Attorney Mr. Powers, Superintendent Dr. Gullett, and Ms. Martinez Lopez. As representatives of the class of 2022, we are moving on to the next steps of our lives, and we are beginning our pursuit for personal success. Knowing that our future lies in the sum of daily decisions, we understand that the future is comprised of our choices today. We thank you for choosing to support our schools to ensure the bright future of our respective schools and district. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Don't go anywhere, ladies. Don't go. That means y'all haven't watched the school board meeting. Nobody ever gets to come to the mic and just go sit right back down. So, ladies, we want to congratulate you first. All of you are seniors, correct?
Yes, sir.
And we'll be graduating in a few weeks. So congratulations on that, first and foremost, and for serving as your school's presidents for this whole year. I assume some of you probably were presidents before, correct? I figured that. So congratulations on that as well. So thank you for coming and representing your schools respectively, and I'm sure your principals, your parents, and the community is proud of each and every one of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sure. I just wanted to say congratulations, ladies, and you're fine. Just stay right there. You're good. Congratulations, ladies. Thank you for stepping up to serve, because having a servant's heart is just the first step in your journey, and having it at this age means that you'll continue to have it as you progress, as you go into your careers and on into your professions, whatever that might be. Don't lose that leadership. Don't lose that servant's heart as you move on into college and then on into wherever your pursuits might take you. And always remember that you have home right here in Marion County.
Yes, well, congratulations on your accomplishments to this point. Are you all heading off to additional education?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's really encouraging, and it pays off. Just keep your personality, keep your drive, and you all you square up to your problems and you deal with them, and keep that going. You'll be make a great contribution to our civilization. Thank you.
Thank you for your energy and your enthusiasm and your leadership. It's always great to see strong young women doing wonderful things, and who knows, maybe your path will take you right up here on the dais sometime or higher. Good luck.
Yeah, I agree. Congratulations. I say, why stop at school board? Go to president. And best wishes on your next endeavors.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
If I may, Mr. Chair and members of the board, I had a great conversation with the ladies earlier. They know that I was formerly a senior class president, and I hope that one of them will take my spot one day. So good luck to all of you.
All right. Great aspirations. Great aspirations. Thank you, ladies. Ms. Elizabeth Brown, Principal of Forest High School, please come forward and introduce the individuals recognized for being elected for the 2022-2023 Florida Association of Student Councils.
Good evening, distinguished board members, Mr. Powers, Ms. Martinez-Lopez, and of course, Dr. Gullett, our superintendent. I'm Elizabeth Brown, the principal at Forest High School, and it is my honor tonight to present to you 3 of our Student Government Association members. The Student Government Association at Forest High School is deeply involved in the Florida Association of Student Councils, and this coming year, we have 3 officers serving, 2 at the district level and 1 at the state level. So again, it is my privilege to introduce to you Ryan Gorman, Colin Scroggy, who will serve as District 2 Vice Presidents for the Florida Association of Student Councils, and Jack Gorman, who will serve as the State President for the Florida Association of Student Councils.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Gorman.
And I'm Colin Scroggy.
And we are members of the student government at Forest High School. This past February, Colin and I were elected to the District 2 Vice President position of FASC. FASC is the state organization for student governments. They are an amazing organization that allows students to express their views and collaborate to make their SJs even better. While working with FASC, my leadership and communication skills have grown, and I found my passion for political science.
And now I'd just like to talk a little bit about our campaign experience. When we first got to the meeting is where the real campaigning started. But weeks before, we prepared. We wrote our speech, made posters, along with a funny Frozen-based skit. Throughout our journey, our whole class supported us, along with Miss Miller and Miss Brown, who are our biggest two supporters. When the meeting day finally came, we walked around handing out business cards and talking to all the other schools about our amazing campaign. We then gave our speech and performed our hysterical skit. As we sat, waited, very nervous, all of our hard work finally paid off as we won. I know that me and Ryan are very excited for this upcoming year, and I would just like to think that our SGA, and I know Ryan agrees, is the best in the state. And this is all possible through our sponsors, Miss Miller and Miss Brown. Thank you, and I know we're very excited for this year.
At FASC this spring, I was fortunate to be able to participate in the resolutions process. Every year, schools from around the state bring their resolutions that were written by their students. If approved, these resolutions will go to the state legislature. This year, Forrest proposed a resolution to provide a rock room to every school in the state. This resolution was passed and will be going in front of state legislature later this year. Resolutions process is so essential to FASC because it allows us as student government members to have true impact on Florida's policy decisions. I would now like to introduce my brother, Jack Gorman, who was recently elected president of FASC.
Good evening. My name is Jack Gorman, and I am a current junior at Forest High School. Recently, I was elected as the president of the Florida Association of Student Councils. I'd like to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to share about my position and journey through student government. I'm beyond excited to share these great opportunities with our district in hopes of getting more students involved with leadership across our county and our state. Since arriving at Forest High School in 2019, I've fallen in love with our student government and all the amazing people within our organization. Whether it be planning a small pep rally or an enormous fundraiser to help those in need, watching the officers pour themselves into making Forest High School a fun and all-inclusive environment has inspired me to reach new limits. I felt compelled to strive to bring that same environment of servant leadership I saw at Forest High School to the entire state, so I became heavily involved with our state organization, FASC. After holding a district office position my sophomore and junior years, my student government and I decided we would take our biggest step yet and run for the office of FASC president, with myself serving as the representative on the state board. And just like everything our student government does, we put our everything into our campaign, and we emerged from the FASC conference victorious. I am beyond excited to work with the amazing leaders across the state of Florida this year as the FASC president. Above all, I am most excited about our statewide service project, Aid to Homeless Communities. Our student government at Forest will lead this project for the entire state of Florida, which will aim to provide to the homeless communities across our state, specifically targeting student homelessness and providing underprivileged students with the equal opportunity they deserve. I speak for my entire student government when I say that I believe we are the leaders of tomorrow, and through the amazing opportunities we have been afforded, we will be able to grow our leadership and spark positive change for the future. Thank you all again for providing me and Ryan and Colin with the opportunities to share my journey through student government, and thank you for all the hard work you do for our schools.
Thank you, guys. Listen, I was sitting here thinking, as you guys were speaking, and actually reminiscing at the same time, because in 1987, this very same gym, my junior year, I was elected the vice president of the Forest senior class. So I understand what you're doing. I understand all the things that you guys have going on, and I encourage you to go further. So it can lead from standing out there in this place to sitting up here in this place, and so your work is not noticed. You're doing some great things. You're representing some great schools, but you're representing your families as well. That's a huge thing, and the twins, y'all can get up there and just switch spaces, right? So, but again, thank you guys. Thank you, Principal Brown. I know you're excited about having this representation come from the school, and I know your parents have to be extremely. Your parents, all your parents are here. Your parents, please stand. Let's give them a hand. And grandparents. And grandparents. So thank you guys, and we wish you well. Much success.
And Chair, I'm super excited, first of all, to say happy birthday, Jack and Ryan, because I know today's your birthday. So that's a special day that you have to come before us on your special birthday. But I'm really excited. First of all, Forest is in District 1, and so I've been acquainted with the Student Government Association quite a bit. As you all know, as school board members, we actually heard from the Florida School Student Council president and officers at our recent conference, and I believe they're going to be doing that again, if not in the summer and in the fall. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all and talking in front of the entire state and others just like us. But obviously, Colin Scroggie and your grandmother was a part of us for so long. But I also have known the Gorman brothers since probably 3 or 4 years ago, I guess, from Osceola. They were such good mentors to my son as an incoming 6th grader, and they were in 8th grade. And I could see the leadership in them at that point. It was a couple of years ago, and you guys have just continued to go on with that. And I know that at this juncture, similarly to what I told to the young ladies who've all served in these leadership capacities, that servant leadership heart that I know that you all possess, and you're fabulous athletes, you're wonderful on the field, in the classroom, all of those attributes that you all share right now, just continue to take those with you and always continue to give back to your community, to your school, now to the state. And so it's really exciting that you all are going to be representing us, and I believe this is the first time ever in Marion County history that we are having a state student council president right out of our community. So it's a really exciting time. Congratulations, guys.
Wow, yes. All right. Congratulations, you guys. What struck me when you were giving your talks was the fact that you give credit. You give credit to those who have worked with you and those around you. And so to me, that says it's not a zero-sum game in your mind where you're trying to get all you can get and pull it off the table. You're really trying to expand the productivity of yourselves, who you're responsible for, but everyone around you. So the wealth grows, intellectual, spiritual, psychological, physical, with sports. It's so exciting, and you all have arrived. Now, you've arrived because you're leaders in your current position. When you finish your further education, file and come on up here. File, win, come on up. You come from great stock, might as well. We can benefit from your upbringing, your brains, and your accomplishments. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, this school board oversees an almost $1 billion budget. That's $1 billion. And it's only to do with kids. That's what we're here for, to make sure that each and every dollar we spend is somehow tied back to the success of each and every student. So it's a pretty exciting job to have. And we need more student voice because you are the ones that we are serving. And we want to make sure that you guys are heard. And not everyone is called to serve. Many are called to run, but not many actually get called to serve. So you're part of an elite group already. And I can tell that you take it very seriously, but you're also really enjoying it. And that's the name of the game. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations. Boy, you were not kidding when you said that you're the leaders of tomorrow, and it's just wonderful to sit here and see that. But Mr. Scroggie, I gotta ask, I heard about your campaign. Did you have a little bit of help with that? A little bit? Are you sure? Because that was wonderful, very thoughtful, well-planned, and so I was like, sounds like you have a really good campaign manager, so, But congratulations and best wishes moving forward.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Superintendent Dr. Gull, I understand you'd like to introduce and recognize some staff members.
I would. Thank you, Chair. Again, members of the board. It takes a great team, right? So I have the great privilege, again, of welcoming a new member of our already terrific team, and that's Terry Cook. If Terry could stand. Terry, if you would mind coming forward to the podium. She has joined our Marion County Public Schools team as the Director of Finance. And let me tell you a little bit about Ms. Cook. She's a licensed CPA with a strong financial audit and managerial accounting background. She's from Citrus County School District and has a bachelor's degree in business administration with a major in accounting and, get this, 19 years of teaching experience. She's participated in the Florida Department of Education's revision of accounting standards, and her strong background in governmental and nonprofit accounting audits include grant-based organizations. She's a great fit, and we are just so thrilled to have her. So welcome to Ms. Cook.
Thank you, Dr. Gullett. It's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to many years serving the board.
Thank you.
Welcome. I'll just do it for the whole board. Does that work?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Welcome aboard, Ms. Cook. We listen. We need. We're glad that you thought it not robbery to come and be with us here at in Marion County. You know, we're one of the great districts in this state, and we know that you're joining another great team that strives for excellence, that has excelled. So we're great. I'm looking at you as like a number one draft choice.
Number one draft choice.
Number one draft choice. So thank you for joining us, and we're looking forward to working with you as well.
As well. Thank you so much.
Miss Cook?
Yes.
I am a Crystal River High graduate. So
Are you?
I am.
Well, I'm an honorary hurricane, but I won't hold that against you.
But welcome
Here
to
we
Marion
go.
County.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cook, and welcome aboard.
Thank you, Chair. Also, we are all celebrating, I know collectively, the Commissioner of Education's announcement, the African American History Task Force, of our achievement of the exemplary status. And I know there are many people who have been involved in this for many years before I arrived. I would like to take an opportunity to ask Lindsay Barber to come forward. She is our program specialist for secondary schools for social studies and was instrumental in taking the lead on this as an employee, and without her, we would not be here. And if we could, board, I would like to go down, and if we could go down to the floor, I have a certificate that I would like to, yes.
Indeed.
I would like to provide her in person.
Thank you. I am just overjoyed at getting the news that our exemplary status was granted by the Commissioner of Education's African American History Task Force. Like I said, I submitted everything back in February, and I think they were getting a little tired of me emailing and checking. So kudos to Dr. Kelly and Mr. Tony Hill with the task force, Ms. Sabrina Shade at the task force, who was keeping me up to date on if there were any issues, which there were not, and the great feedback and the wonderful attention that they gave us. I really could not have done this without several people. I mean, Dr. Coggins was instrumental in giving me a lot of content knowledge. His knowledge of Statute 100.42 is amazing. And then our community members, Mr. and Ms. Raspberry, who really stepped up, Mr. Raspberry to chair the community, and just the work that they put in going over just about every social studies standard in K through 12, really looking at our standards and saying, oh, well, this topic would fit nicely in there. So they really became learners, great learners of the standards, and they probably can work CPOMs better than I can now. So our task force community members were amazing. And then also our teachers who came over the summer, they worked, it was a passion of theirs. They worked on topics that were really relevant, that they thought that our instructional materials did not provide enough attention to. And so our teachers were wonderful. So it really was a group effort, and I was very, very happy and pleased to lead the group. And this recognition also goes out to them and our amazing teachers who bring forth these ideas every day. You know, our science teachers who teach about, you know, Dr. Drew and the things that he did with blood plasma and his accomplishments, and, you know, the teachers in science and technology who are talking about, you know, women like Miss Catherine and the other women of NASA who were changing mathematics and engineering and space exploration. So this is across the board to our teachers every day who do wonderful things to try to make achievements of African Americans, Hispanic Americans, women, everything that's included in the statute, make that relatable to our kids. And so it really is a showcase of the great work that they do every day. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barber. Before you go,
Yes.
because we're going to come down and take a picture.
Okay.
But before we come down, I want to say something about this exemplary status that we have just achieved as a district. Because sometimes people don't know the whole backstory. Even in how we got people in space, folk forgot about the hidden figure. So we have a hidden figure in this whole process that I want to make sure that we don't forget. And that person, let me tell you the genesis of how this whole thing even got to Marion County, because many people may not know. It started as a conversation between frat brothers. Tony Hill, who's a member of my fraternity, reached out to one of my older frat brothers, Whitfield Jenkins, who's that hidden figure in Marion County. And when he reached out to Whitfield, he asked the question, how come Marion County isn't following the statute? Because the statute had been on the books for a while. And once he mentioned that, Whitfield called me, and we had a three-way call coming from Dunellen. I was coming from Dunellen, and we had a three-way call, and he wanted to make sure that Marion County did not be at the bottom of the deck in this process, but that Marion County would be at the top of the deck. And that's how it started. And I want to commend Whitfield for hearing Tony Hill, and then coming back, and he didn't want to work on the community part, but he made sure that we had those pieces. He did not, did he?
But he basically said, "Run with it. I trust you. You guys will do great work."
Yes.
So. Yes.
So I want us to give Whitfield a hand as we're coming to recognize you. Whitfield, just raise your hand. We don't have to stand up. Just wave your hand so everybody know who you are. And we thank you again for helping us. Oh, Superintendent said you need to be in the picture. Thank you, guys. And again, thank you, Ms. Barber. Superintendent?
Thank you again. Good evening. I recommend approval of the agenda for May 10th, 2022, school board meeting with the materials in the board packet, those materials distributed to board members at the meeting, and the audio recording included as part of the official record of the meeting, with the exception of item D20.1 that has been placed under discussion, and items C13.5, C13.7, C13.8, C18.1, and C19.1 that have been pulled for discussion.
May I have a motion on the superintendent's recommendation?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Thrower,
Second.
seconded by Ms. King. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pass unanimously. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the April 7th, 2022 administrative briefing and work session?
So moved.
Moved by Board Member King,
Second.
seconded by Vice Chair Campbell. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? There being none, all signify by aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. May I have a motion to approve the minutes for the April 12th, 2022 school board meeting?
Motion to approve?
Moved by Vice Chair Campbell,
Second.
seconded by Board Member Thrower. Are there any additional corrections to the minutes? There being none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. I will now ask the school board's attorney to explain the rules governing persons who wish to address the school board tonight.
Thank you, Chair Cummings. In compliance with Section 286.0114 of Florida statutes, the school board has adopted uniform procedures for public speakers who wish to speak at tonight's meeting, either regarding one of tonight's agenda items or a matter relating to the operations of the school district. These procedures will ensure the public has a reasonable opportunity to be heard on school board and school district matters. A written summary of these procedures is available from the table in the lobby. Public speakers' forms are also located on the same table. The completed forms were due to the school board's clerk no later than 5:40 p.m. Tonight's speakers will be called prior to the business portion of the school board's meeting in the order of receipt by the school board clerk. Before you begin speaking, please state your full name for the record and spell your last name. Each speaker will have 5 minutes of time. However, if there are more than 5 persons who wish to speak, the board may seek consensus to limit each speaker's time to 3 minutes. When the speaker has 1 minute remaining, the speaker will receive a visual notice to complete his or her comments. Speakers may not yield their time to other people. Speakers and meeting attendees are expected to conduct themselves in a respectful manner. Therefore, verbal attacks and profanity are strictly prohibited. Pursuant to the procedures for public comments, item 6, speakers are not to identify or address specific individuals other than themselves or their child unless a statement is provided 24 hours in advance. The board is here to listen to your comments only. You may be directed to an administrator staff member following the conclusion of your comments for further assistance to address your concerns. If there are matters dealing with student discipline, including expulsions, they'll be scheduled at the conclusion of the televised portion of this meeting. Parents may address the board regarding a discipline matter at that time. To ensure student privacy, only a parent or guardian may use a student's first or last name. Identifying references to or identification of other students and or their families are also strictly prohibited. A public speaker's speech does not reflect the endorsement, sponsorship, position, or expression of the school district. Thank you for your attention to the board's requirements. Chair, that concludes my explanatory remarks.
Ms. Martinez-Lopez.
Mr. George Rimmel.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is George Rimmel, R-I-M-E-L. I'll be 61 next month. I have an 11-year-old that attends Anthony Elementary. I'm rather disturbed at the MAP program's outlines. I'm owed $40,000 in child support, back child support. This is a state-funded program. I shouldn't be paying nothing, zero. I shouldn't be paying the $60. I had to go through hoops to get it cut down to 30. My income shouldn't matter. I am $635 in the hole every month for the last 10 years. And these late fees, because I fell asleep on the couch, Didn't wake up till 2 o'clock in the morning. Paid my MAP thing, 4 hours late, $15 late fee. Shouldn't be happening. Not with a state-funded program. Not when any parent, y'all should pick a number, say 5,000. If any parent in this school board, in this school district, is owed over $5,000 in child support, this program should be free. Does anybody disagree with this? You people are supposed to be on my side. I've mentioned this to 2 of you personally over the phone. I've gotten no help. You folks should be bending over backwards to try to reach out to a state representative. I've tried to reach out to the new congresswoman because the deadbeat that owes me the $40,000 is getting SSI. Congress says I can't get any child support from that kind of person. Too bad. You brought a child into this world, you're responsible for it. I don't care what your personal problems are. Because when I was $600 behind, this state threw me in jail, suspended my license, and closed my bank account over $600. This woman owes me $40,000, and I can't even get a free extended day program. I'm finding this rather disappointing. There's plenty of things. We should have been first. If these kids that were here, I was proud of every one of them. But several of you spoke of servanthood. If they were true servanthood, they'd be sitting here listening to people like me. They took their pictures and left. I think we got some things backwards here, folks. We need to change our minds, our thought patterns, back to we the people. Because I can't afford a $15 late fee just because I worked my butt off and fell asleep on the couch. I get hit a late fee. Lost my card one time back in Christmas. Got hit with a late fee. That's been riding me since Christmas. Nobody wants to step up. I can understand if you're a week late, but when you can't afford stuff and you try and find somebody for it, being late because you can't afford it is wrong. Some of you go to church, I believe, and some of the things that are happening in the school board, Jesus would be a little disappointed, I think. I know I am. I think my 5 minutes is about up. Thank you all for your ear. Hope to hear back from several of you on these issues because I'm not going to pay no late fee no more. I'm owed $40,000 and nobody's helping me. Y'all have a nice night. God bless you all.
Ms. Martinez-Lopez.
Bishop James David Stockton.
Superintendent, could I have that gentleman's contact information?
Certainly, Mr. Browning, absolutely.
James Stockton, 484 Emerald Road, Ocala, Florida. I'm here representing today not only as a citizen or a parent of a student in school or a former student, a graduate of the school, but I'm also here today representing the NAACP. I'm almost a little upset that I even have to bring this to the attention of the school board, especially since we've had so many accolades in regards to the success that we have in African American studies in our school system and things of that nature. But a couple of weeks ago, I was here in the board meeting, and I listened to some social workers give data. And because of the data, of course, it rose to the attention of a lot of people and caused their ears to be perked in regards to some of the situations that are happening in our schools. But I'm so glad to be part of other meetings that we're working on that. And I applaud the school board and even Dr. Gullett and her initiatives and directives to help change that data. But after that meeting, something happened that troubled me. And for a while, I didn't say anything about it, and I kept it to myself until, as president of the NAACP, a legal redress complaint form came in. And I just want to share that with you, what was said, what was brought forward. And I'm careful, I'm not going to use any names or anything of that nature, but I want to talk about what is actually happening, because so many times we want to say that racism, inequality is not an issue or something of that nature, but it is. And my grandmother told me a long time ago, if you listen to someone long enough, if you listen to people long enough, they will tell you how they really feel. So this is what happened. This is the form that came to my office, and I had to deal with it. So this was the best way, I felt. And I'm speaking from the actual form. I was having a conversation. Following the board meeting, we school social workers made ourselves available for further discussion with board members and community members. I was having a conversation with Bishop Stockton and Miss Sarah Green about expulsions when a school board member interrupted our conversation and proceeded to express excitement for the roads and sidewalks that were being constructed. They made the comment and even said, this is factual information, stating, concrete doesn't cure well in black neighborhoods. They continued going on about other things until the topic of the school to prison pipeline came up. The school board member stated that they don't believe in that and continued on with a joke stating, if there was a KKK hood sitting on that chair right there and nobody had it on, does it really exist? Because there's nobody around or nobody wearing it. They waited on the response from Ms. Green and the social worker, laughed at their own joke and went on into another conversation about the girls that spoke tonight. Did you see that? I informed them that I was part of that conversation speech and expressed my excitement for change. I then turned around and proceeded to speak with another board member, and I used it as a way out of this infuriating and circular discussion with the school board member. I don't know how to handle that one, because again, as we talk about some of the great things that our kids are doing and our community is having and how we're coming forward in so many ways, there's still a mindset and a culture that things don't exist. And it's not happening, but we see it in our conversations. And if we're having conversations like that and we're making statements like that to people who are trying to work to change the trajectory of our community and change data, I think it desensitizes what we're really all about. And I've been asked, Bishop Stockton, are you going to make a statement? Are you going to say something? And I just want to go on record saying that that's not good. If we have elected officials, people in position, people in power who can minimize actual data of things that's factual as it doesn't exist, or there's some other reason, there is a problem. And is that the type of person that we really want serving in our community? This person was a staff member who felt uncomfortable because of the data that they researched and brought forward. This wasn't no happenstance or something pulled out the air. This was factual data. And there is a problem, and I'm glad that we're on the brinks of working on it and changing it. But before we can change it, some of us have to change the way we think. Thank you for sharing my words on tonight.
Thank you.
Mr. Gary White.
Superintendent, we have the content.
Yes, sir.
Gary White, Ocala, Florida. I'm here representing the Ocala Tea Party. Recently, Robert Smith was suspended from coming to school board meetings and workshops and being a part of this wonderful organization that we call the school board. We would like for you to retract that suspension of Robert Smith from being in attendance in our school board meetings. He was trying to restore calm to a free speech disagreement, which all charges and accusations have been dropped except for Mr. Smith's. Robert Smith was always here to help you examine the endeavors of our school board. Hope you will each come to our tea party and speak one of these Monday nights. Thank you so much for reconsidering Robert Smith's suspension. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. White. Ms. Martinez-Lopez. That's it. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve consent agenda items C 7.1 through C 19.1, with the exception of items D 20.1 that has been placed under discussion, and items C 13.5, C 13.7, C 13.8, C 18.1, and C 19.1 that have been pulled for discussion. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Campbell,
Second.
seconded by Board Member Browning. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same sign, passed unanimously. May I have a motion to approve the board topic amendment to school board meeting times?
Motion.
Motion by Board Member Thrower,
Second.
seconded by Board Member King. Discussion?
Yes, please.
Mr. Browning?
Yes, I'm in favor of workshops beginning early as we do them in the morning, 9 o'clock. I'm also in favor of school board meetings happening at 5:30. I think if we miss this window of opportunity, we lose a lot of a chance for the population, for the people of Marion County to be able to participate with us. There's so much that goes on early in the morning, moving children around, getting to work, things like that. Generally, by 5:30 in the afternoon or in the early evening, folks have a chance, if they want to come and address the school board or to participate, they have an opportunity to do that. I realize that this is just kind of experimental, and I've voiced some concerns about it. However, I really feel strongly that consistency is important. It's traditional. School board meeting is in the evening. I think we're making a big mistake if we change this. It's just hard to get people here. It's hard to get the business of the school district to the people. And if we can do everything possible to accommodate their time, their traditional time when work is over, it just seems like a no-brainer to me. So I would like to see that continue. I'd like to see or hear other thoughts by the board, but I am not in favor of changing our current time.
Thank you, Mr. Browning. Attorney Powers, did you have anything to say on this topic?
I'm sorry?
Did you have anything to say on this topic?
No.
Okay.
No, simply the fact is we have to decide whether or not we wish to amend it, and if so, in what manner. So we've discussed in prior work session what the legalities are, which essentially the legalities are that we need to be able to send any notice of the change or alteration of school board meeting times to the Department of Education, and our superintendent via the secretary would do so. And secondly, that if we do amend them, we have to do it in such a way that we have plenty of time to advertise the new location and schedule in advance for public notice. Apart from that, there remain two unresolved questions. Do we wish to amend our current meeting calendar? And if so, in what manner? If we wish to amend it, then the question is, do we wish to amend it by changing both school board meeting times to morning times, or one of our regular school board meetings to morning and leaving the other in the evening? If either of those amendments are going to include a morning meeting, then we will of course need to decide at what time those would be on a routine basis for us to post those. Of course, we are able to, in addition to our 2 meetings regularly scheduled, regardless of whether those are morning or evening, we may set special school board meeting times at any time period. So, and we have done so in the past. School board meeting may be held a third during the month, for example, may be held during the morning or evening, but we would just simply need to notice that properly. So those are the questions, and I can comment on any potential scenario you might have, but largely I think that covers where we are.
Thank you. Ms. Thor.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I 100% agree. I am all about consistency. And to me, that means consistently keeping the window of opportunity open for access to all. And I am 100% for leaving our school board meetings at 5:30 p.m. 2 times a month. And I am all about adding or changing our 2 of those meetings to the morning at 9 a.m. And we've talked about this a lot, and people will come if we provide the opportunity. And traditionally, we have had a large segment of the population denied access to participate in our meetings in person because of their work schedules. Not everybody works a traditional 8 to 5, 9 to 6 schedule, especially as our community continues to grow. We have a lot of people that are in careers that would be available in the mornings. And again, I'll state that when we have had a topic that the community was really interested in, no matter who they were, they found a way to get here and share what they had to say. That's a lot easier. It's a lot easier now to access us than it used to be. Most of us have Facebook pages. Most of us keep our phones, numbers readily publicly available. But in the end, it's still very, very important to have that face-to-face and provide it for each and every citizen at an equal level. So that's where I am with this. I would love to have 2 morning meetings a month consistently and 2 5:30 p.m. meetings a month consistently, at least until November when it comes to the regular time anyway to do our reorganization. I think that'll give us ample time to see how it goes. I would suggest starting it at the beginning, at the end of this traditional school year and the beginning of summer school.
Can you clarify? I'm confused because you're throwing me off with the 2 5:30 meetings. And
Oh, I'm sorry. We only
Yeah,
have
I'm like,
2 meetings a
I'm
month.
like thrown off at first. I was like, you changed your mind, and then I'm like,
No,
wait till November.
I've misspoke on that. Yes,
Okay.
1 5:30 meeting, 1 morning meeting.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
And keeping our work sessions the same, because our work sessions are so long anyway that I don't think we could humanly start at 5:30 and have anyone think it's a good idea to be here till midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. That's where I am with it.
Thank you, Ms. Thor.
1 a.m. and 1 p.m. per month.
Thank you. Ms. Campbell.
So I am not in favor of the way it's worded here, so let's start with that. I would potentially be okay with having a business meeting in the morning once a month and a business meeting in the evening once a month. The challenge that I see in having our business board meetings only in the morning or even partially in the morning, we would never have the opportunity to do what we did this evening. We would never be able to see our students if we did all of them in the morning, because our students need to be in school, and all of their principals as well. I mean, I know we have had some principals come recently to a work session, and we were all trying to hurry up along as fast as we could so those principals could get back to doing what they needed to be doing. I actually would be okay with moving 1 business meeting to the morning and 1 business meeting to the afternoon. But I also would be in favor of doing a 9 a.m. work session and occasionally doing a 4 p.m. work session and trying to make sure we got done in 4 hours. If we had 1 topic on an agenda or something like that. Because I do think there are times that we have very pertinent topics on work sessions where we get a lot of work done, and having the public comment and having our employees to be able to comment on things that are pertinent to them, that are applicable to what they're doing on a daily basis, would be very helpful, I believe. And doing that around 4 p.m. would be a lot easier in folks' schedules than doing that at 9 a.m. in the morning. But that's where I stand on it. I am certainly not comfortable with having all morning meetings moving forward. And that's originally, I think, where this landed when I had to step out when the conversation continued after I had to leave. But I am not comfortable with having just strictly morning meetings. But if we were able to work out having at least one evening meeting a month, I think I would still be in favor of having two.
Are we voting on the, I'm sorry, Chair. Are we voting on the start times for school board or work session? Because I think those are two different things that we would need to be voting on. I don't know that that hasn't been advertised.
This issue would be specifically only as to moving the board meetings, nothing regarding work sessions at all, to morning hours, and then deciding upon a time. If this motion fails, a new motion in its place may state that one is to be in the morning and one in the evening, and that may pass or fail.
And that said, I'm not opposed to what you said, Vice Chair Campbell, because I think it makes sense. But I just don't want to confuse it with what we're supposed to be voting on tonight.
Chair.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Additionally, in the conversation, it was a question of being able to move to the Hilton for evening meetings was introduced, and it was I thought an important part, however a very confusing part, because these business meetings, there's so much business to handle. I like to see a business meeting deal with business and then have additional meetings if, in fact, we wanted to say go to the Hilton for to convene a school board meeting where there would be more participation, if you will. So it for me, it's very spread out. I think we're talking about a number of different things here, and it's troublesome. Going back to the 5 o'clock, people can count on it. They know what it is, and boom, they can be at a school board meeting because they're at 5 o'clock. These additional things maybe work out fine, and I think we can add them in.
And yes, Mr. Browning, and as to the Hilton portion of that conversation, we would need to be able to, for the Department of Education and for our standard publication, advertise not only our meeting time, but our meeting place consistently as being at 1614 East 4 King Street. Unless there was a modification to it, which would also then need to be posted in advance in a particular scenario. However, a special school board meeting, in addition to the other two in a month, could be held at any time called by the board with proper notice. So it would probably be cumbersome if we can't just say, okay, we have a evening meeting and decide at the last minute that it's going to be at the Hilton or that it's going to be here. It would have to be advertised specifically as a change, which becomes problematic because the Department of State requires, the Department of Education requires us to list our intended locations until further notice. And so it is potentially foreseeable that a public member could show up here because they read that from the Department of Education's website as to the specified meeting times that have been announced to them by districts. So I would advise that we not vote on the location issue tonight, nor the work session issues tonight, solely on the time issue and whether one or both of those meetings will be held in the morning, or to maintain the status quo as we have.
So for the record, we're not considering work sessions in this motion. We're not considering location. We're specifically talking about, this is just for the record, we're specifically talking about the 5:30 business meeting, whether we want to have one in the mornings during the month, do we want to move both in the morning during the month, or do we want to leave it the same? Those are the only choices, correct?
Correct, sir. 3 options. One option being maintain as is, another option being 2 in the mornings, another option being 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening.
Sir?
Yeah, I was going to say, okay, so thank you for clarifying, because we've gone a few different ways. I am in favor for trying the meeting in the morning, one day of month.
They just seem like they happen every.
I know.
They're only twice a month.
They are, yes. So I, personally, I would be in favor of trying it as a pilot. I think we talked about starting this summer at some point.
June 28th through September 27th is what it has on here.
So I'm in favor of the one morning and then one evening. That's where my stance is.
Great.
Well, at this point then, I'd like to offer to, if this is the way it needs to go through Robert's rules, amend the motion from having our school board meetings move to the morning only to having one school board meeting consistently per month. Dr. Gullett, going to need your help with this in terms of staff as to which Tuesday of the month would be best or most appropriate for morning, and which Tuesday of the month would be most appropriate for evening. And that's the way I'd like to amend this motion to one consistent morning meeting time per month, and then remaining at our traditional 5:30 p.m. for one meeting per month.
Do we vote and then amend? Or would
Yeah, it would, the motion, I think ideally the motion would have to be voted on, fail, and then be amended.
Okay.
And see if it passes. So as stated, I'm sorry, but no, it was well stated, so.
Should the motion also include the time?
I'm sorry,
Sorry, we both asked a question.
I didn't hear you.
Go ahead.
Oh, I said, should the motion also include the time in the morning? Okay,
Those are all factors that we have to consider, right, yes.
okay. So
Are you asking for the
Is
motion?
there a motion on the tape? Is there even a motion that we?
I don't think so. That's.
So we need a motion on the original agenda item, and then we need to vote and then go from there, right?
Yes.
No, there's a motion.
So what is the motion?
The motion is to approve board topic amendment to school board meeting times, and that topic is specified in.
Okay, I thought it was more of a specific motion.
So, there is a motion and it has been seconded, so do we want to, are we ready to vote on this one?
Well, let's make sure we know what we're voting on, because
I
it's,
don't have it yet. I'm with you.
yes, it's
The
to
motion-
morning.
The motion is, the new board meeting times will be advertised, the school board will discuss adjusting to regularly scheduled board meetings times to morning hours instead of a current time of 5:30. Pilot board meeting times will begin during the summer months. This will allow the board members to determine whether holding, that's not it. Upon approval of the board, new board meeting times will be advertised for all board meetings scheduled from June 28th, 2022 through September 27th, 2022. So basically, this is just asking for us a pilot.
And I think it's asking for us to discuss it. I don't, Chair, I don't see an actual motion. So I think that we're okay to actually have a motion like what Ms. Thrower was.
I don't actually see a motion.
And I believe that it was brought up as a motion, though it need not be, because there's not a finalization of the terms of what it would be.
So, Ms. Thor, you don't have to amend anything, you can make the motion.
Right.
Okay. Well, I would
I
like,
would suggest that we get our discussion all in order and then decide which we would wish to do, so what do we have for the?
And what portion of this, of the 3 options are we talking about?
She's making the motion, it'll be in her motion. Ms.
All right.
Campbell?
I was just gonna say, if your motion is going to include a morning meeting time, I would recommend, and this is just me, that it stay at the 9 a.m. because that's what time we have our work sessions. So if we are gonna have, so maybe include that in your motion so that will clarify specifically what we're trying to vote on.
Got it. I would like to make a motion to have one board meeting per month at 9 a.m. based on the superintendent's recommendation of which date, and also an evening meeting continuing at 5:30 p.m. for a total of 2 meetings per month, one at 9 a.m. and one at 5:30 p.m. Same bat time, same bat channel.
No, you got it.
You can't.
Friendly.
concept.
It's from June 28th.
Right. Yes.
So please add that to it, Ms. Thorne.
Okay.
June 28th, June, July.
From June 28th through September 27th.
We have a motion that's been made by Board Member Thrower that we will have one meeting at 5:30 a month, one school board meeting at 9 a.m. a month, starting June 28th, 2022 through September 27th, 2022 as a pilot. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Board Member King. Any
Discussion?
any further discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Browning?
Yes, okay, so this would be 1, 2, 3 meetings, essentially is what we're talking about, because it's 3 months of adjusting a 5:30 to a 9 o'clock. Is that correct? Yeah, so it's 3. Attorney Powers, have you had at my request, that executive session conversation on this subject?
There's been no executive.
I had asked for an executive session, and the board chair recommended that you have a conversation on the subject.
On the subject of school board meeting times?
Have you had that? Have you had that conversation?
That wasn't related to this, from my understanding.
Was it the seating?
This was that was my request at the time, and you instructed him to have, you termed it individual conversation?
Right. And I think what you're referring to is just the discussion of how that may impact any particular individual on this board, their ability to participate in such.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm just wondering if you had that conversation.
I haven't had that conversation specifically with the board, no.
Okay, I just wanted to know if it was in the mix. And in terms of the Sunshine Law, we had to be appropriate, rather than use we had to be appropriate legally, and legally would have come from our attorney for my request for an executive session. But that's fine. I think I'm okay. I just needed to know if that had taken place. All right. Let's see. So this is 3 that has not taken place. Okay, that's all the conversation that I have.
Any further discussion?
I would suggest that, well, we can do it out one of 2 ways here. If we talked about within this motion having one of the meetings be morning, one evening, and leave it to the superintendent's discretion as to which, I think we probably need to, if we're able to solidify that now, we should do so. If we're not and we need to, then the board would need to delegate temporarily that authority to the superintendent to decide so that it's consistent, and then we can begin publishing.
Would we make that if it was passed?
Yes.
So after the vote, we will make that.
Right, unless for some reason that is something that we immediately know can be addressed now, in which case it can be made part of the motion.
If should this motion passes, do you know which one, or would you need time?
I would, thank you, Chair. I would need time, and we have such things, including receipt of the budget, and there are some other items that have time restraints on them. So I would want to look at the calendar and be sure that we are complying with that in advance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further question, any further discussion? Call for, yes, Ms.
I do have one question. The normal time for looking at and deciding our start times is at the reorganization meeting in November. So I'm wondering about the September 27th date, what the significance of that is versus going through to November to give ourselves a real opportunity. 3 meetings isn't very long to get used to anything.
Well, I recall us talking about that a little bit, and if we begin it and saw unintended consequences or whatever, then that gave us a little wiggle worm to stop in September. And then we could always, if we find out that it works for us, then we can come back and
Continue
extend
to
it.
reorganize.
I think we did discuss that a little bit.
We did.
I believe.
You're right.
Yeah, so that was why.
Okay, I'm good.
Any further discussion? Are we ready to vote? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same sign.
No, or aye to your.
Motion passes 4-1. May I have a motion so the motion passes that there will be one school board meeting a month starting June 28th through September 27th. There will be one in the morning that starts at 9 o'clock, and there will be the one regularly scheduled one that starts at 5:30, and we have given the superintendent discretion to advise us of which one it will be. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you. May I have a motion to approve bid 3923 GM Turf Management Services? May I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Motion by Vice Chair Campbell.
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Thrower. Mr. Brown, I understand you pulled item C 13.5. You wish to have further discussion?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome.
Yes. The key here is this is a rather large savings that's manifest in the way we're doing business, and I think that needs to be addressed. This has historically, according to the documents, is historically been about 50% less than what comparable expenses would be for the service. I just think that's a complete home run. Every time we can pick up 10%, it's a big deal. To be 50% better off is just incredibly powerful, and it lends itself to something that was done. And I would like to see these things be brought forward, if we can ever do this, or maybe even have a committee that brings forth some of these exceptionally positive moves, and then analyze them and see if we can apply them to other situations. What was unique about it? And how did we pull that off? How did our staff pull that off? This is exciting to me. So I did not want that just to go through in a consent agenda item. It's over my $100,000 threshold. So that was the reason I pulled it, and congratulations to the staff for making this happen. 50%'s a big deal. That's above and beyond. Thank you, Chair.
Board Member Brown. Any further discussion? All in favor? Ready for vote? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same sign. Passed unanimously. May I have a motion to approve, utilize the Power Buying Group contract with Purchase Smart GPO S Corp for food and supply distribution services? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Board Member Browning.
Second.
Seconded by Board Member King. Mr. Browning, I understand you pull item C 13.7 for further discussion.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This at $8 million is just a big deal. it shows the power of smart buying, very much like the earlier item that we considered. It shows the power of smart buying, group buying, and in addition to that, we can always do better. And again, if we had a group, if we had a citizens group taking a look at some of these things and be able to weigh them and jockey toward that overall goal of 10%, I would be very pleased with that, and I think everybody on the board would. But at $8 million, it's just so big, and it shows the power of these group contracts. But if we have that, we can always do better, and that's kind of exciting to me. That's appetizing. So that was the reason that I pulled that for discussion, sir. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Browning. Any further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor signify by aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same sign. Passed unanimously. May I have a motion to approve? May I have a motion to approve utilize State of Florida contract 14111-5000-21-STC for bulk paper, office, virgin, and recycled content? May I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Board Member Browning,
Second.
seconded by Board Member Thrower. Mr. Browning, understand you pulled this item as well, 13.8, for further discussion.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Again, $500,000 group contract, bulk paper contract. This is a really big deal because the dollars are so large, and the fact that we're doing well. I would like to see these. Once you have that starting point, I'd like to see that be the beginning of doing even better. And who knows? We could lead the entire state on utilization of contracts like this. So there's always a way to do better. $500,000, $500,000, that is exciting to me. That's above my threshold for consent items. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed have the same sign. Passed unanimously. May I have a motion to approve the agreement with Facilities Management Express LLX FMX?
Second.
Who moved? Oh, moved by Ms. King, seconded by Ms. Campbell. Mr. Bryan, I understand you pulled that item as well for further discussion.
Yes, thank you, Chair. New software, this needs celebration. I don't care who you are. New software to end paperwork. Wow. Home run. Like everybody, we ought to get out and just maybe do a cheer. That's pretty exciting. I can see some attendance. This is $66,000, so it fits just above my range of $50,000 to $100,000. But while it's not the largest item on the agenda tonight, ending paperwork has attendant savings throughout the operation. That's incredibly important. I spent a career in paperwork, and this is a home run. Congratulations to staff and the superintendent for bringing this forward and getting involved and making it happen. It just needs to be celebrated. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Browning. Any further discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Passed unanimously. May I have a motion to approve the agreement with Collective Data, Inc. for fleet management software?
Motion approved.
Moved by Board Member Browning, seconded by Vice Chair Campbell. Mr. Browning, I understand you pull that item as well for discussion.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chair. Again, to improved efficiency, when we pick up our students and when we deliver them back home. It is one of the sacred duties we have, because safety's involved, and efficiency just really matters. This is a tracking mechanism or a tracking software system that will help with not only the items, the equipment being serviced better, will understand the efficiency of this huge part of what we do. But if we can get students there safely, if we can get them there as economically as possible and efficiently, it's a home run. Again, this is just barely over the $50,000 threshold, but the reason is it needs to be celebrated, and a congratulations to the superintendent and her staff for this efficiency. It's moving into modern times, and that's exactly what we need. I know we have a deputy superintendent working in this realm, and I'm assuming that that is one of the reasons this happened, but the entire staff needs a congratulations if they touch this at all. Thank you, Chair.
Any further discussion? Call for vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed have the same sign, passed unanimously. May I have a motion to approve the following cash or tangible donations that have a total value of $16,690. 7 Rudd air handler units valued at $4,690 to Marion Technical Institute for Tropic Supply T22. $8,000 to Ocala Springs Elementary School from their business partner, the Smith Family Foundation, via the Public Education Foundation of Marion County. $4,000 to Vanguard High School from Marion County Board of County Commission Department. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Vice Chair Campbell, seconded by Board Member Thrower. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Pass unanimously. Mr. Browning, would you give us the thanks for that one today?
Pardon me, sir?
Would you thank the community for these donations?
Sure, I'd be glad to. The key to donations is really the real benefit that goes beyond the dollars is the fact that that individuals, businesses and private individuals are willing to step forward and engage in this effort to educate. And a hearty congratulations. I know they don't do it for the recognition or the billboard opportunity. They really do it for that deep reason and an important reason of improving our effort and pushing us toward success in educating children. So thank you all very much, everyone that contributes, that pushes us toward an A and takes us from something below a C and takes us up toward an A. That's a big home run. Thank you.
Thank you. The following administrative briefing and work session is scheduled for May 19th, 2022 at 9 a.m. The purpose of the work session is to discuss self-funded health plan 2022 update and 2023 funding projection 2 of 2 achieve 2026 strategic plan update goal 5 impact of growth in Marion County and board topic District West property. The next administrative briefing and work session is scheduled for June 2nd, 2022 at 9 a.m. The purpose of the work session is to discuss general insurance renewal review 2022-2023, Code of Student Conduct 1 of 2, and disposition of tangible property process. Attorney Powers, you have anything for tonight?
I do, sir. The board at our last meeting asked me to address a letter, draft a letter for the board to review and make some determinations on whether to send and whether to include or disinclude content to the county commission regarding the Stanton-Weirsdale road access issue that was discussed at the last several meetings. I have drafted a letter which I believe maintains the sort of neutrality that the board was discussing. I was asked specifically to indicate that we have no objection to that we don't own the property, number one, and that we have no objection to the county commission making improvements on said property or maintaining said properties. And this, again, refers to the areas of Southeast 167th Lane, Southeast 135th Avenue, and Southeast 134th Avenue Road in the vicinity thereof. I did a little bit of...
Attorney Powers.
Yes, sir.
Can we do something a little bit different? Since we got the draft, I think all the board members have the draft, correct?
Sure.
Can you just go ahead and read the letter and read into?
I sure will.
That way it'll be into the minutes.
And this is a draft letter, but it says, to the Carl Zalek III, Chairman, District 4 Commissioner, Board of County Commissioners. And Mr. Zalek, I serve as General Counsel to the School Board of Marion County, Florida. During the school board's May 5th, 2022 work session, the school board discussed a board member's concern regarding the perceived lack of road maintenance, sidewalks, and other services at Southeast 135th Avenue, Southeast 167th Lane, Southeast 134th Avenue Road, and the vicinity thereof, located in Weirsdale, Florida, near Stanton-Weirsdale Elementary School. On August 12th of 1980, the school board disclaimed any interest in the property in question as surplus and unnecessary for educational purposes, and conveyed the property to Marion County via quitclaim deed. This was noted in a memorandum on August 18th, 1980, as being for the purpose of allowing the county to alleviate road access problems and water problems which existed in the described area. The Board of County Commissioners, upon motion of Commissioner Douglas and seconded by Commissioner Bartlett, accepted the subject property at a subsequent commission meeting. The discussion at our May 5th, 2022 school board meeting indicated that there may be some question within the community as to the county's authority to perform maintenance on the roads and immediately adjacent property. It was stated that because the school has rerouted most of its former use away from that area in recent years, services have declined and an appearance may exist that the school board has abandoned some duty, authority, or obligation to the area residents. Specifically, it was stated that there was a public perception that certain services that were performed by the county when school traffic was more prominent in the area has been discontinued or minimized, and that there was a need expressed by some for road signs, maintenance, or other improvements. This letter will serve as a formal notice that as the school board does not own this property, it is not responsible for the road's maintenance, installation of sidewalks, or road signage. Likewise, the school board does not indicate that the commission has any particular duty. To the degree that it may be in question, the school board certainly has no objection to the county performing such services as it may choose. The school board maintains an entirely neutral stance with respect to the roads, rights-of-way, maintenance, or similar services in the described location. Respectfully, Jeremy T. Powers, Esquire, School Board Attorney.
Board members, Ms. Thorne.
It covers all the bases. I'm fine with it. Good job.
Ms. King.
Fine with it too. Thank you.
I'm sorry, couldn't hear.
I'm fine. This is good.
I too am good with it. Thank you, Attorney Powers, for going back into the old records and finding this from 1980, where the county actually did approve that, or bring this property back into their own for the purpose of surplus and so forth. That's interesting to me. And looking over this document from 1980, where a previous school board like this did the very thing that we're doing again, I guess, to ensure that we're clearing up any misconceptions that may have continued since that time. So I'm fine with the way this letter is written. I believe that's exactly what we asked of you, Attorney Powers, to do. And I think this is what we were looking for.
I'm good with the letter. I think I have to sign it still. There wasn't a signature for me.
Chair.
Mr. Brown.
Yes, thank you. And I'll ask, I have this for comments later, but perhaps this is a better time since we're actually discussing it. I've got some additional information that'll be very, very helpful, I think, and I've gone over it with some of the officials. Is this a good time? Do you like this now, or do you like it later?
We're discussing it now.
Now is good?
Yeah, because when we get through with this, we're going to be through with this.
Yes, sir. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
as soon as we get it accomplished, I'm gonna be just elated that we're through with it. Okay, if I can have a little bit of help getting
Ms. Martinez-Lopez needs to correct something.
things passed out. This is 1-1.
Ronnie, hold on a second.
Yes, sir.
Lopez, was there a correction?
Yes, Attorney Powers, as you were reading the letter, you stated that it was discussed at the May 5th board meeting. That was a work session. So
I said May 5th, 2022 work session in the first paragraph. Did I swap that over to board? I did.
Yes,
Yeah,
you did.
There you go. Thank you.
Third paragraph, you said school board
In
meeting.
the third paragraph, I indicate meeting, and so I will fix that. Thank you.
Thank you.
welcome, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez-Lopez.
Thank you.
Good catch.
What are we receiving, Mr. Browning?
Well, we are, let's see, maybe that one helps. Just a minute and I'll explain what it is. Every yard we make closer and closer to the goal line will help ensure a touchdown.
While Mr. Browning's passing those out, let me say, Reverend Cummings, my intention was that when we are completed here, that this would be sent by me as your attorney to the commissioner and the county attorney. So it would not require a vote or signature. It'd be
Thinking
normal
that
legal
board meeting,
correspondence.
I'm thinking that work session we talked about,
Yes,
what I
sir.
would sign and what I wouldn't sign.
And yes, sir.
So if I don't have to sign it, but I think it just lets them know that we're through with it.
And if so, what I will do is,
In this letter, because we're going to be through with this.
yes, sir.
Once we finish this letter.
Yes, sir. What I will do is, when I do correct the scrivener's error already in the draft and whatever other edits the board sees fit, I will add a signature line for the board chair
And the superintendent.
and the superintendent, and then I will pass that for.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Dr. Gullett.
It's okay.
I believe Reverend Cummings will be glad to come and sign this letter. Don't mean to put words in your mouth there, Chair, but
You're speaking my sentiments. I think this is some of the same stuff you gave us the other day, Mr. Browning.
Yes, I figured perhaps you wouldn't have it with you, so some of it needs to be referenced. And if you did need to reference it, I had not.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think that we were discussing the letter, and it would help me to know that we're all in consensus that the letter is fine before we move on to anything else.
Mr. Browning hasn't said he was in consensus, so if he's not in consensus, then we pull the letter. Because he states what the consensus is
Yes,
as a beginning.
yes. So I would like, if I may?
Go ahead.
Yes, okay, thanks. So, what you have in front of you is that same backup information in terms of the photography that shows how it was used. So you have a good solid information behind you as you consider these items. Let me get myself in order here, if I may. Let's see, in reference to the letter, at the end, I think we do imply that they do have a normal duty to roads, especially when we have clear evidence of green signs, which means that the roads are maintained and that we, in fact, did use them for like 50 years. So it's that precedent is incredibly important. Now, if you take a look at this one that you have, you have a colored one and you have a black and white. They're both essentially the same, and what they show is that survey that was taken back about 1950. There's a question of whether it was 1950 or 51, but is at the start of the school. And what the surveyor did, this is an interesting set of circumstances. What the surveyor did was what writes up against the Gerald subdivision survey. And that happened to go right over the road. And so it set this whole thing in motion. That road was existing, and things were functioning. Things were going along. It's a nice little community, and we decided to put a school there. So I'm just saying how things happened, like the gentleman that was speaking with us earlier today, and I have a whole set of this for him. These things become so misunderstood that if you look at this picture, it shows how the survey went over the road. And when it went over the road and we used the road, it was no problem. So nobody really noticed it for a decade, 2 decades, and off we went. However, there was no, as improvements went on the other side of Highway 42 as services were rendered, nothing was rendered here because we owned it as a school board. So it's kind of important this is a little bit of a nuance here, but it's kind of important to know that we owned that thing according to everyone. And the community did not. Suddenly it had just been removed from them. And so that's why it didn't get a stop sign. That's why it didn't get sidewalks. That's why it didn't get all these things. And it was a segregated school at the time. Now, if you look at this black and white image that you have, that's a lot more clear, and you can see
I don't have that one.
Oh, you don't have it? Stand by.
That's okay. Please go.
Coming right at you, sir.
Keep going.
This is really critical. And you really need this. If everybody would hold on to it, then we won't have to continually address it, because it'll take some time for all these things to take place. And I can elaborate on that, but the idea, this is becoming what's being known as, being spoken to as the Stanton-Wearsdale solution. So often in the past, maybe a century ago, 65 years in this case, things take place, things happened, and they create an inertia, and they're very, very hard to solve. And I know I've trying everybody's patience in bringing this up and dealing with it, but this is hard to fix, really hard to fix. And the gentleman that was talking with us today, there were 2 comments that were rendered back in the many trips around this property, and that is that in this Gerald subdivision zone, no concrete ever got poured. It just didn't get poured. It was a black area. That's where that comment comes from. It just didn't ever happen. And for decade after decade after decade. Now we're in a new zone. We can easily pour concrete in this area. We can easily do the things that we've done just across the street.
Would you argue that we have a legal duty to do so?
Let me think about that question. Would I argue? Yes, I would, absolutely.
So let me cut to the chase on this one, because Thursday you told us simply, you said there was a simple thing that this board just needed to say that we didn't own the property and that they need a letter from us. Now you're changing positions on it now, Mr. Browning.
Well, I have the floor and I'm discussing it.
Hold on. You're changing. I'm going to straighten this, because you're changing on what we're talking about this letter, and the letter was
about.
If
you'd like me to talk about it,
the letter was about us resolving this for you, and you stated to us on Thursday that all we needed was the letter, and that this would resolve the issue. Now you come back, you said Thursday it was a simple issue. Now you're saying it's a more complicated issue. So which is it? Because if that's the case, we can pull this letter and go on and just let you have your comments in board comments.
No, sir, Chair. If you would perhaps go back and reconnoiter that meeting, I did indicate it several times that I wanted to input into that letter. So it was not going to be a simple situation. It was going to have input
so we're dealing
from
with
the
letter.
board.
So we're dealing with the letter now. Board members, do we want to continue with this letter, or do we want to stop it now? That's a simple question.
The letter says what I think that we're wanting it to say, but apparently we're in discrepancy on that.
And with discrepancy, 4 of us are in agreement, but it's discrepancy from Mr. Browning, who brought this issue to the board and asked for the letter. So if Mr. Browning's not in agreement with this letter, then I think we need to pull it.
Sir, I believe that's a draft. If I may have the floor, I think under Robert's rules, I'll just call it point of order. I believe under Robert's rules, I have the right, if in fact you want to withdraw
Brown,
that,
you got the floor.
I'll do it later.
You got the floor.
Thank you.
But we're dealing with the letter. We're not dealing with all these surveys. We're dealing with this letter.
Sir, I'll make my point, and then you comment. That would be Robert's rules. That would have to be the way it is.
As long as you're dealing with this letter.
According to Robert's rules, this is the attorney's comment time, and I've been asked to bring this to the board for each of you to give me input on the letter. So that needs whatever, the reason I asked if you believe we have a legal duty is so that if you do and I concur and the board concurs, I can put it within the draft. So the discussion of this commentary section needs to be guidance to me as to what you'd like to have.
Exactly, and I believe that's what, now, Chair, am I addressing you?
Are you addressing the letter?
Or am I addressing the...
Are you addressing the letter? That's the question. Are you addressing the tenets of this letter?
Sir, I'll make my comments. Thank you. There'll be my comments. Thank you, sir.
Again, I'm going to ask you, Mr. Browning. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but we're trying to deal with the letter, and the attorney needs to know if the input that you're giving is about the letter or about surveys. I think that's what we're trying to.
It's about the issue. It's about the issue, which is the reason we're going to a letter, and the letter is a draft, and then I've been asked I asked, should I do this under comment or should I do it now? I will continue if it's appropriate. And I will answer this question if it's appropriate, if I still have the floor. Thank you. Yes, okay, legal duty. Yes, we do have a legal duty. Unitary status is just incredibly important in this. And I must put this in context. You come at a 65-year-old social, political discrepancy. I term this thing kind of a good old boy deal, the way this survey went forward for decades. And it's nothing wrong with just, local political handshake deals, but this one was problematic, and it's still, the issues are still with us, the problems are still with us. And unless we handle this, and unless we put in the letter that we did enjoy the use of this road, thinking we owned it, if we put that in, then it's very germane to the long-term outcome. Unitary status is a duty, and we must achieve it, and it was $20 million about 20 years ago. I think it's probably, maybe the superintendent could say, but losing unitary status would probably be a $40 million. I'm just saying that off the top of my head, but it would be a large amount of funds. So there is a legal status under Title VI, and item 6 under Title VI is transportation. That is our sacred duty that the courts aren't shy about at all.
And the unitary status issue has already been addressed. We achieved unitary status, and then a group led by yourself and Ms. Bridget Smith brought an Office of Civil Rights complaint to the Office of Civil Rights, who specifically has that Title VI ability to investigate, determine whether there was any discrimination that was occurring as a result of this. Their investigation was concluded years ago after looking at all of the factors available to them provided by both parties. They had questionnaires, they requested documents from us, proof of transfers, everything that we could possibly give them, and they were given everything that they requested, and that they made a determination. The determination was that this is not a vestiges of a discrimination issue, and the case was dismissed. It was dismissed without any findings, and it was dismissed without us being required to do anything additional. So the unitary status issue as to the roads in this area was something that's been previously looked at by the federal government's Office of Civil Rights, which has the authority to review exactly this issue, and has been dismissed. That being the case, no legal duty exists that as relates to that, unless we began again to in some way utilize things in a discriminatory manner that we haven't done. I mean, there's no legal duty here based on the unitary status. That's over. Yes, so next legal status or next legal moral obligations or duties or whatever, you can discuss those, of course, but in order for me to put something in a letter, I can't go back and rehash something that's already been dealt with years ago, because I'll be cyclical. I need guidance as to what you want in the letter, and I can't rehash arguments that have already been decided upon.
Yes, and that would be circular from my point of view. The unitary status is always you must maintain it. You can lose it. There's just no question about that. And at the time, you bring up important points, and that is, you had a school board against this community, and this community has always lost. The community was meeting on a regular basis. They did raise the funds. The funds currently exist to solve the problem. And so it's a matter of cooperation, of enjoyment, of fun. There is no ill will here by anyone. Hence, the gentleman was bringing up that comment today. If there was a Ku Klux Klan hat, there is nobody to put the hat on. It doesn't exist now. We're in 2022. This is a whole new time. And so, if I may continue, looking at these come from the tax assessor. These are the current surveys under our ownership. This is the current, and it's the reason we need to write and put on record that we really truly believe that yes, some mistakes were made in the past, and that we're going to move forward, and that road always existed, and we used it for 50 years, and it should have a stop sign, it should have all these things.
So, Chair, if I may just a moment, and Mr. Browning, I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm looking on the property appraiser's website. I've pulled up the plat. I've pulled specifically. I understand what your question is, but I believe the way the question needs to be worded is a little different based on every other, because I'm also looking at every other, fortunately, I just received a list from the property appraiser recently of every piece of property that the school district owns, both vacant and occupied. And so I have this full list here, and I'm just going property by property, just looking them up and seeing how, and what I believe to be the question is that this triangle corner here, where this tree exists, needs to be removed from the school district property plat.
Absolutely.
If and when that one little thing occurs, we have nothing else to do. Every other piece of property that the school district owns is on addresses that are streets. We do not have any ownership of any of the streets that any of our school district properties are on. And so I believe that the question is this small little sliver right here in the corner.
And this entire...
No, sir. That is actually, according to every single piece of property the school district owns, that is a street, just like this one or any other street that the school district would have property sitting on. And we don't own any piece of property that has a street attached to it. It is a street. It is a line on a street. And while I understand what you're trying to say, the only part that I see is in question is this little sliver right here that is the, I don't know the terminology for it, but it's where this street comes into this other street. And so if we were able to somehow get, this I believe is going to be the property appraiser, not Marion County Board of County Commissioners, this is the property appraiser, to say that that little sliver, that little corner triangle does not belong to the School Board of Marion County, that little section, then we wash our hands of this, because essentially it shows our property line is on a street. Regardless of how that street is looked at from the county, and regardless of how they maintain it, and regardless of whether they consider it a limestone road or whatever that might be, it essentially is a property line on a designated street. And so that's how I see this, that where you're saying the survey encompass and the school board owns it. No, I see that the survey shows that there's a little section, the little corner, a little triangle that the school district should not have on our survey. And if that one part is removed, then we essentially have a property line that lines up to a street. Would you agree with that, Mr. Browning, based on everything else that we have talked about? Because every property that we own goes from a street to a street, and that's what I'm seeing with this particular one.
Okay, no, I do not. And the reason that I don't, follow me, and this is what I'm looking at, folks, this one. It's maybe easier to see since it does show the trees as trees, and perhaps this one shows it. The blue line is on the other side of the road. Now, it's not incumbent on the assessor to change something. It's on us to do the right thing, and that is pull this back to right where we have the fence. That would be our property, because we can't really own under 95-361, we cannot own a right-of-way. You just can't do it. So that's an easy call. And every time, I'll just tell you, every time the county folks come toward this, engineering hits a roadblock. They cannot proceed. And it's just been happening like that for decades.
And it's because of the plat registered with the property appraiser 4983-000-010.
Yes.
It's because of that plat that you're saying that they're,
ours.
I'm not,
Not
no,
theirs.
I'm not certain that the county engineer is pulling up plats when they're determining whether or not they're gonna.
Oh no, that's exactly what they do. That's why the confusion. Guys, that's why the confusion, and this is
Let me just stop. I don't agree. I believe
this is a fun call.
I believe they use GIS specific services, but regardless, there is a legal description within the material that I provided you of the land that was transferred and what was accepted, and the legal description, as a legal description, if the plat somehow the blue line on the image map they're using or something like that doesn't match, one supersedes the other. And the one that supersedes would be the GIS map and the legal description, not the
visual?
Not the visual of the plat.
Yeah, and that's a great point. See, that's why all we have to do is just communicate a little bit.
Right.
With the county commission, and we do.
That's what I tried to do within the letter.
Well, but perhaps you didn't have all this. So you didn't have this particular from the assessor, that shows what we tell the assessor we own. We're still saying that even though we did a quitclaim in '80, because this happened again in 2000, 2003, 2006, 2013, probably 2017, when this little group of people, some of them 70, 80 years old, Ms. Dylas was, she's since passed away, but 2-3 years ago when we were battling with the school board on this, 90 years old, 93 years old. So it's not a fair fight, to go against a school board when you're these these few homes that are out there, and they've never been serviced. So in the interest of just doing the right thing, this is not a hard call, really. You'd want this if it was your mother that was there and it was 90 years old. And they've just been deprived of sidewalks, of everything. And really, this is right here, this picture is what these guys
Would
see.
you agree with me, Mr. Brown? I mean, from the picture, that little sliver of triangle we're talking about is, from looking at, just for scale, the reference of the cars that are in the parking lot there.
And all the way along the
it's-
side,
that
all
it's-
the way up to the turn, all the way up to where the gate opens into the school, where every
Can
truck.
you hold it up and point to what you're talking about?
Yes,
for
sir.
me? So maybe I can
Yes, sir.
get a visual.
This is the point you're talking about, and all the way up. You
Okay,
see, the
yeah,
road is inside that line.
Yeah,
That's what
I
drives
got
it
nothing
crazy
there.
at engineering.
I don't-
They can't supersede that.
I don't believe that anything other than what I've said so far is anything else that I can support, given what I've said as to the fact that we've indicated our lack of ownership of the area. The county certainly knows what is owned and is not. We are bringing it to their attention that if there's any confusion relating that, we have quitclaimed the property in the past. We have disavowed any further interest in the property to the county. The county has accepted same, and if anyone has any complaints regarding the maintenance procedures that are done within that area, then I'd suggest they approach the county commission regarding that. I believe that to some degree, and this appeared to be true with the Office of Civil Rights complaint, I believe that there was a perception that the school board was a little bit of an easier target than the county commission to attempt to have some repairs done. But what we have here is this very, very specifically by school boards going back as far as 1980 and addressed all the way up through 2016 or 17 with the OCR complaint. At every step of the way, the school board has taken every step to disclaim any interest in the property, make sure that the county had everything it needed to take over the property. The county minutes indicate that they, in fact, did so, and it was specifically noted in the memorandum to the county and accepted within their minutes that it was done for the purpose of eliminating road and road maintenance and water issues. So that's all been done. I don't know that there's anything else that I can put in a letter that is going to fix that, and I don't really know that the school board wishes for its council to be moving forward to advocate a particular community-wide case over the use of a road that doesn't belong to us. So if that's your wish as a board, I stand at your service to do whatever you like me to. However, I don't know that I have anything more within my toolbox to be able to accomplish that.
Thank you. And now, let me say, that's the legal perspective. My perspective is certainly legal. We want to be legal. We don't want to run afoul of the law. But we aren't looking for a legal solution to a social and a political problem. This is really a social problem. It's a political problem. Our deputy superintendent walked the area with me. Our Safe Schools individual walked the area. This is not a legal issue when it comes to the social political side of it. Everybody here runs for election or gets appointed. So we'll remove it from the legal. You'll be able to make it legal when it's concluded. My point is the social implications of something that currently has, the last time I looked at this, it had Kathy Bryant's signature on it. This is the current. These things just have a momentum, and they deprive people of their just due, which is services. We're talking 3 generations of children walking through this. This one, 4, 9, 7, that's Miss Gloria Bozier's home, and that road has existed like from way back. And so this is a social issue, not just political. That's why if we rush to a letter before we really understand what we're trying to achieve, it's a problem.
Well, my question was very specific and to the point, and that is, do we have a legal duty? And what you've just said is that it's not a legal obligation, but it's a social and political issue.
No,
So,
there are three
for the
steps.
purposes of what I'm trying to draft, in my research and everything that I can see in past cases going back all the way to 1980, I don't see any legal obligation to which I can respond.
Okay.
So I may not
and
be
lay
the right
back,
tool to
lay
work.
back. See, I believe that rushing to a letter before we fully understand this is premature from the legal point. And the legal point should come after. Maybe we close the deal. Once we get this solved, because the board, I spoke with the sheriff, spoke with legislators, spoke with Congressman Stearns, who was with him over the weekend, and said, "Hey, look, this is a historic thing that happened during your reign." So this is just something. It's pretty clear. It's kind of fun to be able to solve a 65-year-old problem, and these race things get really confused when they go on decade after decade, 3 generations of children. And we just have an obligation to, it's like building a playground, just do the right thing and have as much fun as we can doing it, and then hand it over to legal and let them do their legal trick. But right now, if you're working for the county and you go in here to do something, they say, "No, we don't own that." Clearly, it's under the assessor's office. I believe it is under, might be under Carl's Zalak's signature now, since the last time I looked. But it's clearly belongs to the school district, and that was always the argument that we would get.
Right,
We
and
weren't
I've
targeting
not
one
heard
over
that
the
from
other.
the county in my discussions with the county thus far. I haven't heard that from any county engineer or county management that.
Well,
we
you
don't
haven't
own the
been in it,
property.
sir. I've been in it.
I'm talking about meetings that I was in with those people,
Okay.
and
Okay.
haven't heard that from them. As the
Okay,
reason.
I've been in it, and I've heard the
I understand.
surveys are the issue and what have you. So I don't want to belabor this. I know I'm trying everyone's patience, but you all are in the business of solving problems. I'd like to, take the solution away from Board Member Browning and come up with a Board Member King solution. It's fine with me. Whoever wants to do it, and we can get this thing solved.
Board Member Browning.
Yes.
I'm looking at the minutes from the county commissioners' meeting from 1980, and I'm looking at a quit claim deed that we executed. Mr. J.L., I'm just going to read it quickly. Mr. J.L. Cullum, Marion County School Board Chairman, Mr. Jewett Springer School Board Office appeared to request the board accept a quit claim deed conveying property adjacent to the Stanton Wearsdale Elementary School to the county for road and drainage purposes. Mr. Cullum presented a resolution adopted by the school board stating the property in question is unnecessary for educational purposes. Upon motion of Commissioner Douglas, seconded by Commissioner Bartlett, the board accepted, this is talking about the county commission, the board accepted the following described property, and then it gives a legal description of said property. And then it states, upon the motion of Commissioner Douglas, seconded by Commissioner Fugit, the board authorized the road department to proceed with digging a new water retention area on the property and filling the other install a culvert as soon as possible. So we, as a school board, did this back in 1980. Am I saying it right here, Attorney Powers? 1980. So it's a done deal legally. as far as anything else, and it gives a legal description which includes the corner that you're talking about. Vice Chair Campbell was very eloquent and patient in how she described that schools don't own roads, county roads, public roads, and so either you want this letter or you want or don't. It's up to you, but I think we've exhausted the discussion on this as board. Board members, how are you feeling?
Chair, if I may, because some things that Mr. Browning just stated have caused me some concern, if I may say so. You were likening this to doing the right thing, building a playground, those sorts of things that school districts do when we are building a school. So, Mr. Browning, is it of your belief or opinion that not only should the school district exhaust our legal authority to this particular piece of property, as we've already done, but because, as you state, it's a cultural and a political issue, that it is potentially of your belief that the school district actually should be maintaining this piece of roadway? Okay, I'm trying to ensure that I'm encompassing everything that you've stated, because apart from requesting that this school board reallocate our tax dollars that are facilities improvements and so forth to actually maintain this piece of roadway that is a county road, beyond that, this letter recuses our responsibility because it is not a school district piece of property. The quitclaim deed has already said it is not our property. This letter further references this quitclaim deed that says this is not our property. It does not certainly say that this elected body is demanding or requiring or anything of another elected body to do anything because they're not standing before us asking us to, you absolutely have to build a school in said location, because they're not doing that of us. So we're not telling them how to do their jobs either. So we are saying in this letter that I understand is a draft, however, 4 of the board members are in agreement, not consensus. The 4 of us are in agreement that this letter states exactly what we discussed ad nauseum on Thursday about this same topic, and also states that the school board has no objection to the county performing services, and that we are neutral on the fact whether or not the county wants to put rights-of-way maintenance, similar services in signage, etc., because again, that is their responsibility. The Office of the County Engineer and the County Commission, that's their responsibility. So now that you have stated that you do not believe it's the school board's responsibility to maintain this road, apart from this letter and recusing ourselves of this responsibility, I don't know that there's anything else we can do, because I don't believe it is our responsibility as an elected group of individuals to go and demand anything of another elected body. And that, now certainly as an independent citizen, you certainly can go and speak before them at any juncture you would like. We have all elected them as they have all elected us. But beyond that, as a group of individuals, as the board, I do not see any further obligation that we have in this matter. If I'm mistaken, please correct me.
Well, so let me just address your thoughts there. We were required. It was demanded of us to build that school. We had to do it to satisfy legal requirements for that black area. We had to do it.
Okay.
That was required by elected officials, and we had to respond.
State or federal level?
Federal level.
Okay, federal level. So we're talking federal, not local county commission.
Yes, it was separate, and separate but equal. Then later, we, regardless of anything else, unitary status means it's identical. It's the same. It unifies separate but equal. So, yes, we were required to do this, and we are all in it, not building it, just cleaning up the problems from decades ago. And all the way up to and including maybe, I think about 2017, maybe 20, maybe 2020, maybe it was probably before that. But even today, Mr. McFadden and I walk this area and the lady's pushing, and it's just absolutely appalling, the difference of 2,000 feet from one part of town to the other part of town. And so it's just incumbent on us now to meet our original responsibility, and that is to build a school that meets unitary status, item 6, transportation, the walk-in zone. We can come at this from a lot of different directions, and we'll eventually get the Stanton-Weirsdale solution. But this is how hard it is to achieve these things, and we were required to do it, and we did it. And we did it in a half-hearted, sloppy, improper way for decades. And that was just back then. I don't defend them, and I don't see any reason for anybody else to defend them, but certainly this shows that it was not done well. And I can also just show that, in fact, there's no stop sign there. I want a stop sign, and I want somebody else to be very, whether you put it in yourself or not, I'll pay for it. But let's make that a safe entrance. Every one of our school buses goes right down this road, right here, this loop, and goes right in front of that. Traffic is moving through there. Now, if you guys aren't concerned about that, okay, but I sure am. This road feeds right in, and there's not even a stop sign. And it's our school, and we were told to do it correctly, and it kind of slipped. Okay, well, now we can fix it. And we just say, hey, we need a stop sign. Hey, we need whatever we think we need, and then we'll just go forward. And it's that simple. Then, Board Member Browning, and this isn't Private Citizen Browning, this is Board Member Browning bringing this forward, and it isn't ad nauseum. This is as absolutely appropriate as anything I can think of, and I will not accept ad nauseum to this, because I will present, like any of you will, identically, I will present a position that I think is correct for the good of this district. And we had to put this school in, and we did, and it was a messy job. So I just say, let's figure it out. That's just cutting to the chase on your comments. So we don't have to conclude this tonight. That's fine with me. This is a rough draft. I still want to have input to it. I'm not satisfied. If the board wants to move on to something else, please, Chair, we follow Robert's rules. Do it. I will get to the end of this as the Stanton-Weirsdale solution, so help me God, if it's within my power.
And it's my understanding we're not gonna send this letter. I did not hear that. So, so let's just maybe move on and let's.
Thank you, Attorney Powers, for the draft. We're through with that part.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Martinez-Lopez, any comments? Superintendent.
Thank you, Chair. Just briefly, I would like to take a moment to recognize and appreciate another group of students. Just very briefly, I would like to read their names. This is the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. As a reminder, I meet with them quarterly, and they provide great feedback to me, and I just thank them for their leadership and the great collaboration. So just briefly, because a number of these are seniors. Emily Alfonso from Bellevue, Shelby Peebles from Dunellen, Jack Gorman, who you met tonight from Forest, Morgan Gittinger from Lake Weir, Courtney Daniel from MTI, Stephen Garcia from North Marion High, Michaela Hansen from Vanguard, and Kayla Anthony from Westport High School. I really appreciate, again, the time that I have with them and their feedback. And just briefly, as I'm talking about seniors, as a reminder, we kick off our graduation season with Hillcrest on May 20th. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Superintendent. Ms. King.
Did you forget my name? Yes, I have a couple things tonight. One of them is diesel. I was just wondering if maybe, and it doesn't have to be long, but maybe if our work session that is close by, if maybe we could just get a quick snapshot of how we're doing with our diesel, our buses, our fleets. We know it's extremely important that we have our buses to get our students to school, but with the prices and how that's looking, I'm curious how that's going to affect our district, where we are now, where we're going to be in the future. If there is a shortage, you know, what would happen? Is there anything that we could do now to get ahead of that? So it doesn't have to be long and lengthy, but I do, as a board member, I'd like to see a snapshot of that, just looking ahead. And also, if we have been paying attention to the news a little bit, and maybe even some of our friends, it looks like COVID is probably on the rise again, and it's getting close to summer. And I just want to remind everyone that if you are not feeling well or you're sick, maybe just, you know, take a precaution and maybe stay home to keep others safe. You know, hopefully it won't spike high, but it is out there. And that is all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Thor.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I have a couple of things. The first one is just a brief comment regarding the letter. I've been listening to all of the back and forth, and the way that I interpreted our last conversation was that to clear the way and to clear the path, that a letter was needed to reduce the confusion about who owned what. And I'm disappointed that we're still stuck in the mud on this one, because I do believe that the letter was very well written and explained that. So for me, I was excited to get that letter to the county. It opens up the door for them to do whatever is in their purview and whatever they feel is appropriate for that situation. And I, wish them all the best. I think we all want each and every neighborhood to have what they need to be successful. But I'm also very cognizant of where responsibility begins and where responsibility ends. And it certainly doesn't mean that we can't be supportive. But I do want to get this situation put to rest. And I believe that our attorney did everything that he was asked to do, that we all agreed to ask him to do, only to be blindsided, and that's not right. So I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed. So that's that. The second thing I want to bring up is we've been having conversations about cell phones. I've been very vocal about it. And I wanted to share with the community that so far I have gotten all positive support for doing anything we can as a district and as a school board to help shape this concern into something more meaningful for our kids' educations. And so I would encourage that conversation to continue. I think we had some good presentation about how this particular technology has been managed successfully while still giving credence to the fact that they're ubiquitous now in our community, but there's no reason to have the tail wagging the dog. So that's my comment on that. I just hope we can keep that in the forefront in our planning. And we are planning. We're already planning forward. We have budget time coming up. Now is the time to be hearing from the community about their priorities. Our priority is always going to be the kids, and anything that we can do to bolster that support is something that I definitely want to hear from people from. Regarding that, it's just a heads up in terms of increasing communication between our elected entities that the Board of County Commissioners did recently accept the ballot language for our upcoming funding referendum. And again, in the spirit of positive communication, I'd like to suggest that we notify our municipalities too that this has occurred. I see you nodding, Attorney Powers, so
yes.
Is that in the works?
Yeah, I had thought the same thing. I have not directed anything in that particular direction, but I stand ready to assist in any way to do that.
Great, because I have noticed that maybe it's not as much of an out-of-pocket issue as some may suggest, because most folks seem to not even quite be aware that we've had this referendum for a while and that they've been supporting it. So again, in the interest of bolstering communication, I do think it's important to look for every opportunity we can to share what we're up to and why we're up to it and why it's important to us, and so that folks go into this with informed minds. And then just quickly circling back to the Board of County Commissioners, I wanted to thank them actually because they made a $4,000 donation tonight that was on our list to be spent and utilized to help cover the cost of the Kingdom of the Sun basketball tournament. So if that's not wonderful intergovernmental entity support and communication, I don't know what is. So shout out to our friends on the County Commission. And then finally, I just wanted to acknowledge that we did lose a very cherished employee a couple of weeks ago. It was too emotional for me to bring it up at the time, but R.J. Sumner, amazing staff member, only 41 years old, I believe, went way too young, and he was just such a gift to several schools that he served, and also to the district as a parent liaison for our students with special needs. He really was, that link to families, and we collaborated on a lot of tough cases, and I already miss him dearly in that capacity and also as a friend. So Godspeed, RJ. We'll never forget you. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rock. Boardman Browning.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Well, it's been an incredibly busy weekend, week since last Thursday. We opened an REC new facility, and we were blessed with staff from Senator Perry's office, Congressman Kat Carmack office, the sheriff spent the entire afternoon over there, Sheriff Billy Woods, Jimmy Cowan, assessor and staff, the county commission. It was heartwarming. The outpouring of some of the quality that we have. The head of the 911 program. I mean, I'll never name everybody that's there. And then we went on the next. It was the next 48 hours later, and Governor DeSantis, actually the next day, Governor DeSantis recognized Ocala to bring forward and sign his bill for children tax opportunities, which was quite powerful. You can all see it. Anybody can Google it and look at it. Then Monday, the governor, this is near and dear to my heart, held a very serious program for honoring the victims of communism, and what a beautiful event, meaningful. It was down in the Miami area, and it was 1959. Castro went in, and it was the same year he went into Havana. I went into the U.S. Navy, into California, and then on to Japan, and everybody was fighting communism, and to have that being brought forward in such a meaningful way was near and dear to my heart. Then Governor DeSantis left Miami and came up to our area and made one of the most wonderful presentations, and I'm amazed. Everything he's doing is around schools, and it's so exciting. It's about access for churches, community, parents, students, teachers. There's just so much so much good that can be done and is being done, and I'm heartened. I had a great night's sleep last night after leaving that function. It was absolutely incredible. So you can see much of that on the TV, and you can see a lot of the images from the weekend on social media. But be that as it may, it's a great society that we live in. Let's see. This is a little point, but it will help us, I think, flow. Apparently, past superintendents, not our current superintendent, but past superintendents, have required an elaborate line of recognition when in fact when they're addressing the school board. And in fact, we operate under Robert's rules, and Robert's rules really, the requirement is to address the chair. When you're addressing the board, you address the chair and you address the vice chair. That's what you do. And at that point, you may or may not mention individual board members, but typically it's the board. And that's it. And then move on with your message. And I would like to see that addressed, or at least considered. We go back to exact Robert's rules. I don't know how that got started in the past, but I believe that the chair should be recognized, the board should be recognized, and that's it. And then move on with the message. So especially as a requirement, especially of employees. Now, the final item is our stage. We just moved like 50% closer to the public, and that's a big help. I would like to see us consider this area a real workshop. We've never done it. We moved here and we just didn't do it, but this is like double, if not double, significantly larger than we ever had in the past. We could set up we could have the chairs, people could be back in contact like people again, rather than these speakers and like you're in Yankee Stadium. And I appreciate folks moving down so you can at least see the people, recognize them at the distance. I think it's to those gentlemen that are out in that area, I believe that's about 150 feet. It's just too far. So if we set up here, that would be my A game. That would be the best. We go from there. From that end, we do a diagram, at least discuss it. The second would be to move forward again and to get closer to that mic so that you can hear a person speak, human on human. And that's a beautiful situation. Then for the rest of the room, which is actually empty for the most part, it could do loudspeakers. I get that. For us up here, we can hear one another. If we moved a little closer, I believe, or we take that podium and we move it here, and then all of a sudden, we would hear, we'd be able to see the people. I just think it would just be so much better. And thirdly, a possibility would be just, this is not a theatrical production, so I don't know what we're doing up here, really. This is like way up. I know we moved here and it was a scramble back in December, January, but if we set up right there, and then we had, I've even been told that those seats can be moved. We could take a couple rows out if we needed the space, but if you look at where we were and you look at what we have, there's a lot of neat little opportunities. We could have a roll-in dais and just sit right there. We'd be right there. We'd be where the people are, and we'd be able to hear and sense the people and communicate. So that's something I'd like to see us consider. I believe it would add to the attendance if people thought that they could actually get one-on-one with people. It always really works. Thank you, Chair. That'll conclude my remarks.
Thank you, Vice Chair Campbell.
a lot there, but I'm just going to leave it there. So I first want to say, in using the Latin term ad nauseum, which refers to something that's been done or repeated so often that it has become tiresome, I certainly did not mean any disrespect to any one board member, but I'm certainly trying to get us beyond this point of discussing the same topic at each meeting now, spending multiple hours without reaching a conclusion. We know how important the business of this district is, so it is my hope that very soon we can reach unanimous consensus on a pathway forward. Again, did not mean any disrespect by using the statement, the Latin term ad nauseum, which basically means something has been repeated so often it becomes tiresome. So this evening, I will share, while I could have shared it while we were voting on it, but I wanted to also share how excited I am about the new work order software that we approved this evening. We did learn last week that we had been using hard copy paper work orders, which is still fascinating to me, that in the 21st century, in 2022, until we approved the software this evening, our tech services and everybody had been using paper work orders. So not only will it take us into the 21st century on being able to track those work orders and being able to ensure that everyone can be a larger project, that everyone can be kept in the loop on a larger project, that you can view work history and user manual, all kinds of things in this software. But additionally, it will be able to track our productivity and our efficiency, something that we were unable to do with a paper system. So this is another huge advantage to being able to spend a little over $60,000 well spent to ensure that we can start tracking our efficiency and productivity. Also this evening, in the consent agenda, we approved revised job descriptions, and you all know how exciting that is for me. I love it whenever we start having people's jobs more closely align with the descriptions under which they work. So I'm super excited about that. We also approved in the consent agenda the retirement of Mr. Mike Kelly, who will officially retire at the end of June. And while he wouldn't appreciate all of the accolades, I just wanted to say Mr. Kelly's been a part of this district for a really long time. He's had some innovative leadership and advancements that he's made, both at the high school level as well as with Marion Technical College. And I just wanted to publicly say thank you to Mr. Kelly for his service to our students and schools. Something this evening that was mentioned in public comment was about our Marion after-school program fees. I wanted to clarify a bit about some of that information, and obviously the gentleman isn't still here because he made the comments about 2.5 hours ago. But I did want to clarify that that is not a free program. The state does not offer free before or after care for families. It is not a free service. Can there be grants for a program like 21st Century? Absolutely. And some of our schools do have that for aftercare. It's usually not 5 days a week, but that is a grant-funded initiative for aftercare programs. However, because the state does not fund free before and after care for student families, it does come at an expense to this district. Not only does it come at an expense, we also are increasing the cost that, increasing the per family cost. And the reason for that, I was just talking with the extended day Marion after school program folks today because my children have always taken advantage of that. But the reason we are making that increase right now, obviously we all know the state minimum wage is going to be increasing to $15 an hour, but the governor has ensured that all school districts are actually reaching that $15 minimum wage per hour in this upcoming school year by October. So whereas every other business in the state has the ability to do that on a graduated scale and do it over a period of time to reach that $15 per hour, all school districts in the state, according to the governor, will be reaching that by October of 2022. So that is the reason that we are increasing the fees associated with the aftercare, before and aftercare program, and also why that is not a free program for families. So if there are individuals that are requesting that to be a free service, I recommend you take it up with state legislators and request that they potentially pass legislation and then fund it, should that be the case. Also wanted to mention that the county held a development meeting yesterday, and I know we're holding ours next week. I'm really looking forward to our meeting and talking about all that the county and the city are doing to grow our community and where those locations are. I know we'll have a very robust discussion next week on the 19th. Is that next week? Yeah, on the 19th. I'm looking forward to all of the information that will be coming forth, and again, having very robust discussion. Here in just a moment, we will be looking at the alternative placements for students, and it became apparent to me that we have several students that are being alternatively placed and expelled specifically for fights, and I'm not certain what we can do to help our students with their anger and aggression issues, but it is very apparent that what has occurred throughout this pandemic, from a community narrative, and I'm talking community as the entire nation, the dialogue or lack thereof has created additional aggression and anger related issues that are trickling into our schools, and students don't know how to handle that. And so I am continued to be interested in solutions, and if there are those in the community that have those solutions or have ideas, I'm certain this board would be interested in entertaining what we can do to calm some of the anger and aggression that we're seeing. And finally, as we round out the school year, FSA testing continues. We had it the last 2 days. I think we have some more testing next week. I know my kids are tired of testing, but we have more FSA testing coming. We have award celebrations that are happening around the district, and graduations are right around the corner. So let's certainly finish strong. Underclassmen, please register for summer school. And teachers, we need you, because we have students that are interested in taking summer school, and we need to make sure we have wonderful educators. As we appreciated you last week, we want to appreciate you even more. Please sign up to help us ensure that students can continue on the pathway to success, so that we can ensure that every student is succeeding. That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Campbell, Mr. Browning, Ms. Thor, Ms. King. I'll be as brief as possible. I do want to thank all of our staff always for coming out and being here through these lengthy meetings that we go through to handle the business of this district, because putting students first is our top priority. And I just appreciate all of our staff who have made that their mantra on a daily basis, to make sure that we're doing what's best for students every day and in all situations. I do want to recognize that, thank you, Mr. Thor, mentioned about the referendum and ICROC. We met with the ICROC on last Thursday. Very informative report by the superintendent and her team to the ICROC committee, and just looking forward to see what's going to happen for the community in dealing with the referendum that's coming forward that will be on the ballot in the general election. This month, May, is our appreciation for our instructional staff, those in the MEA and those who are not in the MEA, but that group of folk, those folk, we just truly appreciate everything that they do. Oftentimes they make the teachers better, and they make the schools better, because we have those very important people in the right places, and we can't thank them enough. So as we celebrate their accomplishments that they do every day, thanklessly, we want to again tell them thank you for all that they're doing, and make sure they understand that we appreciate them. Graduation is rapidly approaching. I think the first one is Hillcrest, and I'm looking forward to attending the graduations, and I know the other board members as well are are happy to see our kids. It's nothing like going through a whole year and seeing the trials and tribulations that our kids have endured, our staff have endured, our parents have endured, our community has endured throughout the year, and see it culminate with kids walking across the stage and receiving their high school diploma. The other joy to see that those expressions on their faces is just unbelievable, because whenever I look at those kids as they walk across that stage, I see so much potential, and I see a new group of leaders that are walking across. I see a new group of entrepreneurs and business people and law enforcement officers, and more importantly, I see a new group of teachers and educators walking across that stage. So the future is bright every time I see these kids as they graduate. So I do want to thank you. Congratulate them on their accomplishments. I want to encourage them that they celebrate in a responsible way. And parents encourage that, and community encourage it, and we should all demand that they celebrate responsibly, because we want to make sure that they move to the next chapter. This is not the final chapter, but this is the next chapter of their lives. I want to, my final comment, I want to thank Attorney Powers for taking the challenge that we gave you on last week and putting together a wonderful draft letter tonight for this board to consider. I truly appreciate you doing exactly what we asked you to do and making sure that it said the things that it needed to say and address the issue that it needed to address. Unfortunately, it got derailed. However, we did our due diligence. I think we took resources, school district resources, to try resolve a community issue, and we did the right thing with that. And even though we may not have resolved that issue, we did the right thing. But I'm not willing to continue to go down that road if we're not going to have some type of resolution at the very end. We have our business is not to deal with those things. Our business is kids and education and making sure that we take care of our people and making sure that we move our district in upward mobility in our grades and our rankings, and those are the things that's what we're tasked with doing. That's what we were elected to do, and I want to be true to those folks that elected me and that elected these other members to the board to make sure that we do those things, and that's educate, 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 and educate again. So again, thank you for that draft letter. Unfortunately, it was all for nothing, but we appreciate it. We definitely appreciate it. With that being said, I conclude my comments on tonight. The following administrative briefing and work sessions are scheduled for May 19th, 2022 at 9 a.m. The purpose of the work session is to discuss self-funded health plan I'm reading the wrong page. We already talked about that. Let's go on. We're moving on to student disciplinary matters. Okay. So before addressing expulsion matters, I wish to acknowledge that board members have received alternative placement lists for students through April 13th, 2022. Ms. Martinez-Lopez, are there any parents who have submitted a timely request to speak on their child's disciplinary matter? Okay. There have been none. May I have a motion to approve the expulsion of students JD 22-114E, JD 22-116E, JD 22-117, JD 22-119, JD 22-120, JD 22-121, JD 22-122, and JD 22-123 with educational services for the remainder of the 2021-2022 school year and the entire 2022-2023 school year. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vice Chair Campbell.
Second.
Seconded by Board Member Thor. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same sign. Pass unanimously. There being no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Ms. Thor, seconded by Ms. Campbell. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned, 8:13:09 p.m.